So we now introduce you to The Senster by Edward Ignatowicz. The sculpture has been created 50 years ago. And the original piece, which we have here at AGH University campus in Krakow, was originally commissioned by Philips company. So it was conceived as a cooperation between artists, sculptor, and engineers affiliated to this company. So the Senster basically was created at a time where cybernetics was a kind of hype and a kind of coffee table subject that everyone keep on speaking about around. And the very core idea for the sculpture is to make a piece that would function in a loop, where also spectators and humans everyone who is around nearby, the piece can participate in the chain of movements and interactions that we get here. So this is the first idea that we have that is connected with Senster. It is cybernetics and the cybernetics hype of the 60s. The second issue we have here is also pop art background. Back in the time when Senster has been created in London, was designed in London by Edward Ignatowicz, pop art was the part of contemporary art events that attracted some extensiveness, say, probably public. So the Senster was also created as a crowd piece, a sculpture that was supposed to attract attention of public gathering in Evoluon in Eindhoven, Netherlands, when it was originally installed. And the third context for this piece, I think is worth mentioning in such a brief, is kinetic sculpture. There's also this formula that employed movement as a substantive part of artwork was also at the very core design of the piece at the time. So three elements: cybernetics, kinetic sculpture, and pop art came together with this. We tend to link them with the creatures we know around. So this bionic, let's say, or animalesque connections we build are something very strong and very natural. What is interesting, though, is that anyone can build its own link between a part of nature that is somehow attractive or maybe quite well connected to our sensitivity with the piece like the Senster. So there are lots of stories about design process of the sculpture, and Edward Ignatowicz giving us some hints about where to look for these alliances with nature. So one is a tiger in a zoo, and another one is completely remote because it's a lobster, and especially lobster claw, which turned out to be a kind of, not a cliche, but a kind of classic example for engineering back even in 19th century, so very classic reference for this kind of art and engineering work we have here. So we have tiger, we have lobster claw, and then we have also some connections when we look at the Evoluon exposition and we see how the Senster has been displayed to the public. This was back in the times when, apart from cybernetics, everyone was talking about, in terms of technology and new advancements of technology, was landing on the moon. So also this kind of extraterrestrial creature that we can meet somewhere outside, so maybe some post-human bionic hybrids that we can spot. Now we call it hybrid. I don't know if then back in the 60s they used to call it hybridic. But yeah, lots of links and lots of stories, and everyone can make its own. What I find particularly charming about this piece is that it is so simple in terms of technological solutions that actually the artists have proved that it is possible to compress within very narrow limits of technology the form and interaction pattern that would be good enough for us to have fun with frequencies, to have fun with signals, and maybe not to communicate in terms of signs and symbols, because this is way too simple here, but to have this impression of being involved in a loop, in interaction, and feeling quite comfortable in presence of another person's participating in this performance and being together with moving sculpture. So fairly simple stuff, without intelligent solutions, without deep learning, and yeah, the proof of concept that embodiment, actually the material part of the sculpture, the scale, the idea how to design it and how to stop in the right moment between abstract and representative form, that was the recipe for the Senster and other pieces of 60s. So the history of finding the Senster is quite long and multi-level, but in some way it mirrors the times we are living in a very simple way, because first it came from the library, because it came from readings, Eduardo Katz and his work, the short paper on robotic sculptures. This was the first meeting. Later on we have this YouTube video that everyone can see because it's open access, so it's great. And later on, we have this third moment when we spot the Senster, the remains of the sculpture, thanks to a geo-tagged photo that has been published online by a casual user of Panorama service. So we are extremely grateful to these men who were smart enough to spot the right thing in the right time in the right place. So we have these three channels, like books and libraries coming first. Then we have short, low-fi, low-resolution video put online, open access, and then we have these emergent geo-tagged maps that we create together with our habit of taking pictures and uploading them online, letting them live wherever they wish to live. So basically, yes, without this mixture, there would be no return of the piece to the state we have right now. I think there are lots of networks of. We know there are lots of networks of makers and artists and scientists collaboration around. It has been like that from years. But what I find maybe a little different with this idea of making Senster, making Edward Ignatowicz sculpture being with us right now and fully functional, is that we did not come together to invent something new. We were here to listen to the past, and we were here to join our experiences and our ideas to recreate something that has already been created. So this is totally different timeline in terms of what we do, how we plan, who's got the best idea, and which way should we go. Okay, so it was already there. It was Ignatowicz sculpture, and we were here joining together only to to put all the pieces of this puzzle in the right places again. So you may judge the outcome if you take time to visit us or have a moment to look at it online.
Okay, startuj z dźwiękiem.
My role in this project was to make a control and automatic system for Senster. How time can influence on possibilities to recreate the movement of Senster. Senster uses hydraulic actuators to make movement, and his movements are very smooth, but the time has a big influence on these actuators because they are very precise technical machine. And for example, the old actuators was renovated, but there are some leakage occurs, and this leakage cause by this leakage we cannot plan move Senster as we want. There was some unpredicted move of Senster, and we tried to repair this or fix this using software. Also, I think that important issue in this type of robot is how this robot communicate with us, with people, because the people don't want to use robot which are afraid of them. For example, robot makes very unpredictable movement or something like that, or accelerate very fast or deaccelerate very fast. So, and I think that it is the role of the artist, communication people. I don't know. It is not clear computer interface, but it is something more.
So I was a member of Integra Scientific Circle. This scientific circle is gathering students of automatic control and robotics, and Mr. Dlugosz is a supervisor of this scientific circle. He wrote that he is looking for someone who wants to start working on rerunning some old robot, which is also a cybernetic sculpture. So we started with choose appropriate controller to do it. Then we made some necessary wirings, and finally we programmed controller to control hydraulic actuators.
So I was amazed when we entered this main Sapporo culture center where the day we came to Japan, because basically what I found there was a more elegant and better version of what we have here. You can see the glass windows, you can see the open space and a kind of industrial feeling that we have. This is also for the place we've chosen for the Senster in Sapporo. So I think it is very nice analogy coming from our humble lab at the university campus and the campus surrounding the campus context, which is always a bit more unofficial and casual. Down there to Japan and to Sapporo, and finding the places that fit in so perfectly. And in Sapporo also, another thing that was pretty much interesting for this exposition context was the view onto the city, because also it reminded me of archigram pop art designs, utopian pop art designs of archigram, so colorful, maybe a little bit ironic, and also somehow very let's say technical and playful at the time. So that's why we also thought about making contextual exposition with Maasan for Edward Ignatowicz piece in Sapporo, combining these contexts, like Sapporo, genuine, let's say, urban feeling with Archigram, walking cities, and all these wild fantasies and fancies about being modern, not modern, nomadic, being lost and found again. So now imagine that this COVID-19 pandemic did not happen, and we do really travel with this piece in wooden caskets to Sapporo. So you can now go with us for this ride. We pack into the train car in Krakow, Poland, and we face east. And then we sit in this train for weeks, traveling through Siberia in horrible winter frost, and playing cards and playing music with the people and drinking with the people and spending wonderful time and passing the Baikal Lake and losing one of the cases and then finding it again. It was so much adventure, yeah. And then passing China, getting on the boat, getting to Sapporo, yeah, mission completed. So amazing, epic journey, which hasn't happened yet. So basically what Marek Dlugosz is working on right now is to build a streaming bridge for Senster and remote control, so that we could have a look into the system from anywhere we wish to, and also to prepare it for the public, for anyone who wishes to see the piece while it's functioning remotely online. And I guess it might be quite a fun if you have some friends in Warsaw, for example, or in Krakow, to, you know, get online and say, okay, today evening I will come and send you a hi to Japan from Europe. So maybe this is the good thing about bridging the Senster and putting it online as every piece, because I can imagine that all the artists who are gonna participate SIAF online from the places they are based in will face the same problem: how to find the potential of this medium, which is fairly limited. And now we think about it, it's like landing on the moon and having the live transmission from the moon. Not the same. So basically, Senster is an endemic piece. Endemic in terms when you set up it in one place, it's very, very hard to move. This was something we've learned after we traveled from first display we had here in Krakow at AGH Science and Technology University. When we did all this work, the project is affiliated to university. And we went to Wro Biennale to visit you in Wrocław. So, and we thought that it might be quite easy to pack the sculpture into 5 wooden cases and then unpack it in a different place and just make a setup. But it is quite fragile, I must say, because all the original parts can be badly worn off when you move this from one place to another, when you destabilize it. So it has got its price, and the longer it stays in one place, the better. So the original Senster, the original display, the first display, was a long-term Evoluon Eindhoven display in a futuristic building commissioned by Philips, with the crowds coming by every day to see the wonders of technology, and the sculpture in the middle of this dome with white and very light construction around. And after 3 years of display, the company decided to finish it because probably maintenance of the piece was quite, let's say, sophisticated and time-consuming. And after 40 years of the piece being kept outside in open air in Kolensplat, Netherlands, it we brought it here to the university, and as I said, 2017 first display here, and this is the Senster lab. This is where the piece resides when it's not outside for the display. Later on, Wro Biennale and the Japan exhibition in Sapporo was to be the first one in Asia and the travel of the Senster. Thank you very much.
Nie, to będzie wejście filmowe.
Wejście filmowe.
Jak powiedzieć cześć po japońsku?
Hello, konnichiwa.
Pozdrawiamy.
No, to już musi pan
Od chińskiego się dopiero zaczyna.
Greetings from Krakow. Hello, konnichiwa.
Hello.
Hello.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa, greetings from Krakow.
Greetings from Krakow.
Senster Squad, second day of autumn. We are at the campus AGH Science and Technology University to introduce you to Edward Ignatowicz cybernetic sculpture. You're welcome. That's it.
Thank you.
No i fajnie. Dobra.